of falling out. And so Yogi Bhajan was very protective of her and her family as well, okay, because he had evidently promised James Angleton that he would protect his daughter after James Angleton died, okay.
Right.
And so I don't know exactly, you know, what transpired between James Angleton and Yogi Bhajan, but I do know that they were close friends. And then I also know that Yogi Bhajan was close friends with this Bill Richardson, who was governor of New Mexico and also was part of the Clinton administration. He was the energy secretary under Clinton. Okay,
Right.
very, very close. He spoke. Richardson spoke at the memorial service for Yogi Bhajan, flew his helicopter when he was governor and things like that. So Yogi Bhajan had a lot of connections with political people. Okay, and he was always going back and forth from India and trying to get involved with that. He had close relations with Indira Gandhi. He actually taught her yoga, things like that. I interviewed a Sikh gentleman recently, about a year ago, who was a brigadier general in the Indian Army at the time that the Blue Star operation happened. And he told me on tape, it's on YouTube, I got the interview, where he was with him at a meeting with Sangattv Singh Bhanirwale when Sangattv Singh ji told him that Yogi Bhajan and Indira Gandhi were plotting to assassinate him. All right, so this was his exact words, and he told me this in an interview. He didn't want me to reveal himself because obviously, if he goes back to India, he could be, you know, arrested for things like that. But I think that there was definitely something going on with Yogi Bhajan's conniving, and he was always involved in all kinds of underhanded activities. I know for a fact that there was a 3HO person that was arrested for gun running. This was in the early 90s. And so that person was put in jail in India, and then Yogi Bhajan bribed.
They were gun running in India?
Yeah, gun running in India.
Not in the United States?
No, gun running in India. He brought several 9mm Glocks into in his luggage, and he was going to sell them there. Anyway, so Yogi Bhajan bribed Indian officials, and I know they spent thousands of dollars, you know, to bribe. They finally got him out. Okay, so I know he had all kinds of connections and tried to, you know, bribe people and, you know, and things like that. And he met, like I said, he met with Indira Gandhi many times. I've got pictures of him giving Indira Gandhi gifts and things like that too.
Yeah.
You know, so.
How did you finally escape then? Let's go back to the story.
Okay.
You're out on bail.
Yeah.
Pending a possible 10-year wait to be in front of the judge and have your case heard. That never happened.
Yeah, I just got tired of the whole thing.
And what happened? What did you do?
Well, I decided that I would just leave India, basically.
Without a passport?
Yeah, that's right. So I found out that there was a way I could get out of India through Nepal over the Sonali border there. And I talked to some friends who had been across there, and they said basically you can go across there and then get into Nepal and then just leave from Nepal. So that's what I did. But when I got over to Nepal and I went up to Kathmandu, I realized that I had to have an exit visa from India. So and then an entrance visa into Nepal in order to leave the airport in Nepal. Yeah. So I didn't realize that before. So anyway, I ended up having to get a new U.S. passport for the U.S. Embassy. And by the way, the U.S. Embassy was completely unhelpful. They didn't have any sympathy for what had happened to me. They weren't about to help me with anything. They said they would give me a new passport and just say that I had lost my old one, you know, but that was it. They wouldn't get involved at all.
Represent you.
Yeah, they can't. They said we don't want this to happen to somebody in India because their relations with India are such that they have to treat India like a democracy, which couldn't be farther from the truth, you know. Anyway, they knew I'd been arrested on false charges. They knew all this, but they wouldn't help me. Anyway, so I did get the passport without any kind of visas. So I had to go back to the Sonali border, and I talked to a Nepalese there who helped me bribe some of the immigration guys there. I think I paid them like about $800, and they didn't just do it half. They had to meet me and talk to me about the whole situation and make sure that I wasn't gonna it wasn't gonna come back on them, you know, because evidently some immigration officers in India had gotten arrested and lost their jobs because they'd done this before. So anyway, but anyway, I got them to write in the passport that I had lost my passport, and this was a new one, and that they gave me an exit visa. Basically, it was a handwritten one, but it was enough to satisfy the Nepal officials, because they knew that was happening too. So they gave me an entrance visa to Nepal, so that when I went to the airport and left, then I would have a proper entrance visa to Nepal, like that. So we had to pay both the immigration officers on both sides, basically, like that. But that's the way it works in India, and
that is the way it works in
yes,
India.
that's true.
So you finally got yourself back to the United States.
Yeah.
You're not going to be returning to India anytime soon.
No time soon, because I'm technically a fugitive from Indian justice. Yeah, that's right.
It's surprising they haven't tried to extradite you.
Well, my understanding is that the crime has to be something that has to be
Certain penal code.
Yeah, it's equal
like a
for extradition.
Yeah.
It's still possible. I mean, they were accusing me of being a spy, you know, at one point, because I had talked to a journalist there in Amritsar, and he talked to the SSP, this guy who had me arrested. He said, "Well, we think he's a spy, and if he goes to the press and he says anything about him being arrested, we're going to arrest him on terrorist charges, on being a terrorist and a spy, something like that, you know." So they can make life very difficult for you if you don't cooperate with them, you know, like that. So I really didn't have any other choice, and they were just going to leave me there for 10 years or more and just hope that I think they hoped that I was killed or died or something, you know, because you can get hit by a car or anything else, and then their whole problem disappears if I just disappear, and then can't come back and tell my story about what really happened, you know. So unfortunately for them, I was.
Final question.
Yeah, sure.
With yourself, you demonstrate regularly against 3HO. Other Sikhs, Punjabi Sikhs, demonstrate regularly against other Dere, namely Radha Swamis or Ram Rahim from Sirsa in Haryana, or you have Nur Miliye, Namtaris, Nankaris, various, what in Western terms would be considered sects. But various forms of Sikhism that Orthodox Sikhs don't consider Sikhism at all.
Yes.
They're all demonstrated against. There's so many things for Sikhs to be demonstrating against. Do you think it's productive for Sikhs to be spending a lot of time demonstrating against things that take away from their own spirituality, that take away from their own mission, which is becoming one with Guru, demonstrating against things that generally they're not going to be able to change?
I think it's important. I don't think it's everything, but I think it's important that we protest against some of these groups like the Namdaris and the 3HOs and things like that. And by the way, Yogi Bhajan had a close relationship with this Jagatjit Namdari. He spent a lot of time with him, and there's pictures of him with that, things like that. But by identifying who we really are, this gets to our base, who we really are, okay? If we just let all these groups just do and say whatever they want, go out there and do Hindu rituals and all these things like that, then people are going to think that that's what we are, okay? And 3HO has such a visible presence among Westerners especially, that whenever I see somebody in the street, okay, it used to be worse because I'd wear white to start, you know, before. I
was assuming you were going to wear white today.
I make a point not to anymore, because literally, when I'm out here on the motorway, I stop at one of those rest areas or something, a lady came up to me and says, "Oh, my daughter is part of your group. She's at summer solstice right now, you know, doing this yoga." I said, "Look, I'm not a tantric yogi. I'm a Sikh, okay?" It just really frustrates me to no end. But this is how people see, you know, Sikhs and especially these 3HO people, and they're very, very visible because they wear white and they think, you know, they're Sikhs.
Absolutely,
but they're not.
But Namdaris, they've all got pretty similar uniform. It's white,
that's true.
White kurta pajama.
Yeah, that's true.
And invariably white beards.
Yeah.
But with regard to precedent, most of Sikh.
Cut. You know you're way over an hour.
Well, way over, but this is an important question. Can we not just edit it out from the middle somewhere to something else and give us a minute, man?
3 minutes.
3 minutes is more than enough, man.
Okay.
That's including and
Including the outro. Okay, no problem, man.
okay.
So no, I don't know where I was. You just destroyed my train of thought, man. But you know where the precedent was? What I was going to say was, during the Guru's times themselves, there were Tir Maliye, there was Prithi Chand, Ram Raje.
Right.
There was at the time of Guru Tegh Bahadur. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we're rolling. Okay, I'll do it properly then.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But with regard to precedent, during the Guru's times themselves, there were various sects, various offshoots,
Right.
which were considering themselves to be the authority, the true heirs to the Guru that had just moved on, and Guru Gaddi had passed on. There were obviously Tir Maliye, there were Prithi Chand, there were Ram Raje. At the time of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Guru Gaddi being bestowed upon him, there were 21 other Gurus. No Guru during their Gurudom instigated any sort of protest against these fakes. That these are imposters and we must shut them down. They simply said that if we portray and we present the truth to the people, their halls will be left empty.
I disagree with you somewhat. I don't know if, they may not have been the protests like we do with picket signs and things like that.
Yeah.
But Guru Nanak, talked specifically about the yogis who practice all these corrupt practices, all part of the writings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Gobind Singh Ji spoke adamantly against these Brahmins and about the
to be shunned.
Yes, exactly.
But not to be protested against. Don't waste your
that's
time.
when you write something against somebody, that's a protest.
Absolutely.
I think that's definitely.
No, I mean physical protests. Because in Punjab, with not the 3HO really, but in Punjab especially, when Nur Mahal or Paniyale Wala turns up to Punjab, there's invariably physical protest, which ends up more times than not in innocent Sikhs who are just protesting peacefully, being set upon by the Punjab police. It's taken as an opportunity to teach us a further lesson. We're being taught lessons periodically anyway, and that's just another opportunity for them to do that, for the authorities to again give us a bloody nose.
Well,
do we really need to protest them? Is that not giving them sort of the fuel for them to carry on and get even more?
I think non-violent protest is definitely good. I mean, during the Guru's time, Guru Gobind Singh actually made war against the Hindu chieftains and the Mughals and things like that. I mean, that's pretty big, form of protest.
Absolutely,
you make war against,
but not against subsects of Sikhs of somebody who now decides that he's the new guru, or so to speak.
Well, I think non-violent protest shows that you're challenging and you're criticizing, these different groups that claim to have this right way. I think it's definitely part of the Sikh tradition to be able to protest and stand up for the truth. I'd have no doubt about that at all. I mean, like I said, in the writings of the Guru Sahibs, they talked about how you should shun these people and that the Hindus had lost their way. All these the very critical things in Sri Guru Granth Sahib about in the writings of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So I think that protest is definitely a good, as long as it's nonviolent.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes things may get out of hand, but I think that overall, what I've seen, Sikhs have been good at protesting, and I don't see really any problem there. I think that we could continue this type of nonviolent protest, like that, and especially talking about things on the internet and having a discussion. I think that that's definitely good about things like that, and bringing things out. I've learned an enormous amount about Sikhi from people that have criticized, 3 HO and things like that. And Dr. Gursant Singh hadn't written that book in protest,
In
I wouldn't know
1977.
anything, about
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
So I think it's definitely, I think it's okay.
Okay, Paji, again, thank you for taking your time out. I know you're only in the UK for a short time, and you've made yourself available to us, and we appreciate that. We can't be more thankful
My
than we
pleasure.
are. That is everything for this week in Encounters. You've been given the opportunity to hear from somebody who has a very, very different experience of life than your average Sikh. He's had experienced 30 years of 3HO. He's a GurSikh of the Guru as we speak, and he has his ideas and he protests about what he doesn't like. It's a life story that you can catch up on, or you can research some more on the internet if you feel that you need to. His name is Gursant Singh, and you've just watched an encounter with him, an ordinary conversation with extraordinary people. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.